Hey guys, just a little check-in video. We finally reached summer and I'm so happy. This past weekend was a really busy weekend for me. I was driving all over Nagano to take the JLPT test, which is the Japanese language proficiency test at level N5. Yeah? Actually, the way it works for this test is it's reverse. So 5 is actually the lowest and then N1 is the highest. So I took the lowest proficiency level test this weekend and I feel really good about it. And it's actually kind of inspiring that, I studied the N5 book and the same stuff that was in the book was on the test. Some part of me thought that that's not how it worked, that the test was made to trick and confuse you, that the test is deceptive, that really nobody really wants foreigners to be able to speak Japanese. So, I felt like there was some kind of conspiracy. I guess just hearing people talk about how difficult the test gets in the later levels. But for this one, I kind of breezed through it. And I was so happy to open the first section and I saw the kanji, like the Japanese special characters, and I read it before I even checked what the options were. It's a multiple choice test. And I was already able to read it before I looked at the options. And that's kind of when I knew that this is the level I'm at. This is where I can succeed. And it felt really good to know that if I apply myself and set a goal and take the steps, I can achieve my goal. It was very inspiring because the very first week, this was maybe second or third week of January, I had my New Year's resolution, which was to pass the N5 test. And that first week was pretty brutal. I think in the first 3 lessons, they ask you to memorize more than 16 kanji per lesson, which is kind of like if you had to memorize different weird nonsensical shapes and then not only understand what it means, but also know how you combine it with other shapes to make new meanings. And also each shape has multiple different pronunciations, which is so wild. I remember just kind of rolling my eyes and getting frustrated, even just in this first week, to realize that I'm really getting over my head. Is every lesson going to be like this? And fortunately, it wasn't. It was just kind of setting this foundation of be familiar with these shapes so that later in the lessons you can recognize them, but you don't have to memorize them yet. And that started to feel good. And I started to pick up some grammar and how to use adjectives and how prepositions work in Japanese. And instead of saying like, what do we do? They actually say like, how do you do? When you're like trying to solve a problem, in English we would say, what do we do about this? But in Japanese, they use the word how. How do we do about this? Which is a more like open-ended spectrum to solve the problem. Just a different way of thinking in Japanese. And I started to develop that. And it's just really inspiring to know that the work that I've done aligned me with this goal that I believe I've done. Unfortunately, we don't get the test results until like August or September, so it's going to be a month or two of kind of crossing my fingers. But if it's going just purely on like how I feel about it, I feel like I passed. And yeah, I'm so relieved and so happy about that. And then to add more icing on the cake, more inspiration and more evidence that I'm on the right track and that I'm able to learn new things and that I'm not clueless or hopeless, was today I was talking to our nutrition teacher and asking about this kind of boiled vegetable salad that we had for lunch. And I really liked it. And we're developing kind of this friendly relationship. And I asked her, how do you make this thing? And she's like, oh, chotto, because some of the ingredients are tsukemono, like a Japanese pickle, and they can take months or even years to prepare, depending on the way you make that pickle. And I wanted to say in Japanese, well, if it's difficult, if it becomes difficult, and I'd never been able to use a subjunctive type of sentence before, like using like if ba 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 ba. I'd never have been able to use that structure before. It's pretty complex grammar from my perspective, being the lowest level Japanese. And I was able to construct a sentence using what I had learned from the N5 level. And I said, Moshi, muzukashi ni nareba, ba 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 ba. And I thought it was right, but I wasn't sure. But luckily, the lunch teacher was able to understand what I said. But then I checked it later on. And when I said, Moshi, muzukashi ni nareba, it means, but if it becomes difficult, then it's okay. Which is exactly what I was trying to say. And I knew the word muzukashi, and I knew ni naru, and I knew how the subjective works. Sometimes it has like a ba at the end. And so I put it together, and I was able to think and speak in Japanese on the fly. This is just one of the many little accomplishments I've had over the past couple months where, I could naturally read a simple kanji, or I could look at a kanji and then see how it, like what comes after it, and kind of infer, oh, that means kudasai. Because it has the thing and then the whatever, you know what I'm saying. You can infer the meaning of some kanji by the sounds that come after it. And that, I was oblivious to that before. And I'm just so thankful that, I spent 6 months with this book and about 30 minutes a day, give or take. And that's a lot of time to spend on a goal. But to know that it came to fruition and to know that I can do something that I put my mind to, it just feels so good. And that said, I know that if I continue learning Japanese, I'm not always going to feel this motivated and this inspired and this genki about, wow, I can do anything. I can learn anything. But it's great to have those moments when they happen and know that, I'm not just kind of wasting my time here in Japan. I'm meeting people and I'm learning about myself and I'm learning a language and I'm doing what I kind of set out to do. And I know that I can leave Japan and know that I at least got the first level of Japanese. And that's, all I can ask for at this moment. So I'm really pleased with my work ethic, the fact that I was able to, produce the results. That feels so good. And then also know that it's actually helping me to engage with people in my immediate life, to be able to communicate just a little bit better. That's really important because my first year, my Japanese wasn't so good. And yeah, I feel like I've missed out a little bit. So I'm making up for that by empowering myself by learning another language. So, here I am saying it's possible. If you make a goal, set out the steps, and then actually take the steps, you can do it. Whatever goal you guys are thinking about, just do it. So inspirational. That's how I feel right now. I'm feeling really good. So everybody do your best. Know that I'm doing well. It's summertime, so I am feeling good. And I can't wait for Christmas. See you guys soon. Love you.